So we're going to look at a nested if statement. That's the correct term for it. Here we see we've got the while loop forever, then we've got a sequence, then we've got some selection. I've got an if and then an else, but inside these I can have anything. I could have a sequence of steps, I could have loops, and what I'm going to do is have another if and else statement, and they're indented from the outer level. Okay, so it's inside, and we call that nested. We're nesting it inside another one, and I can have it in either, or I can even have it in both. But it becomes rather complicated and is the reason why we use logic. So that's what I'm going to do, is have a nested statement in here to find out whether I was holding a sword or whether I was holding a shield. All I need to do is give the correct message for whatever it is, and it's going to be inside this elif statement. So the first line inside the elif statement is going to be another if. Here's my nested if. If has sword, so I'm now testing to see if that was the one that I had. If has sword, then yeah, I'm going to print that I'm wounded. So let's go in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Print I am wounded. Print. Now this is the first time we've been using multiple statements inside. A sequence of statements. Print. But you inflicted an injury on the enemy. So I was holding a sword. I was wounded because I wasn't holding both, but because I was holding the sword, I inflicted an injury on my enemy. Now I could do an elif has shield, but that wouldn't be sensible. The only thing that could happen here, I'm checking whether I've got a sword or a shield. The only thing that can happen is that the else statement says I've got a shield. So I don't need to even check to see if I'm holding a shield or not. I've got the sword there. This is the shield section. So I can also say print you are wounded, which is the same as the original statement. Print, let's capitalize that. So what could I do? I'm wounded, but you parried the blow. In other words, you managed to knock it aside with your shield. And so now I've got a nested if statement. I've got one more thing to do with this nested if statement that we'll see in a minute. But I'm checking which one. So let's go through it. This only works if I've got both a shield and a sword. Both are true. Then I'm doing this statement. This one works if I've got either a sword or a shield. Okay, and inside here I'm checking to see if it was the sword, because I don't know which one it would be. So I'm going to print these lines. Or if it was a shield, and I'm sort of using the default. If it wasn't a sword, it must have been a shield. And this one only fires off if I am not holding a sword or a shield at all. And then we are waiting for the next sort of round in my game. So if I run that, let's just close the shell and run the game. You can't be killed. So I must have had both sword and a shield. You can't be killed, same again. Oh, I'm looking. Oh, I'm wounded. but I parried the blow, so I must have been holding just the shield. I'm wounded, but you inflicted an injury on the enemy, so I must have been holding just the sword. You can be killed, so I must have not been holding either. Right, last little bit on this one for the time being, and it's called sort of being a bit more efficient. Here and here I had exactly the same statement. In other words, there's no need to write it out twice. I could have written it out once. So I could have put it in the elif statement just before I checked whether we got the sword or the shield. So I didn't need to put it in either one. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to cut that from there. I'm going to paste it in there. So it's making my program a little bit more efficient. I don't need that statement anymore because it's going to print "you are wounded" if I've got a sword or a shield. Then it's going to check which one I had and give me the answer. So let's run that one again, make sure it works. You are wounded but parried the blow. Okay, so it did. It set these two. So it set one of them, it set has shield to true, has sword to false. So it didn't run that line. It ran that line with has shield. So it ran the "you are wounded," has sword, was false. It came down to this line, but you parried the blow. Enter to continue. This time it came down to this line. I had a sword, prints "I am wounded," and you inflicted injury on the enemy. Let's just check the rest. I can be killed, so I had neither. So did the else statement, and wounded. I just want to check out the top one where I can't be killed. There we go, finally got it. So that's checked all the possibilities in my game. So there we have it. We've used logic, we've used an AND gate, we've used an OR gate. We haven't used a NOT gate at the moment. It would be a bit silly to actually use a NOT gate. We've been introduced to loops. We've used a library to generate random numbers. We've seen that true and false can be represented by zeros and ones. We've seen efficiency of programming by reducing the number of lines we've got. And we've used a nested if statement. We've used an elif. We've used an else as a default. And we've used raw input on its own without assigning it to a variable, just to instruct the user to press a key. That's not bad. We try and look at loops and a little bit more with logic in the next series of lessons.